It is no secret that I am a very organised person. Among people who know me and my friends, they often tell me that I'm the most organised person that they know, which is a superlative that I will happily accept. But I often get asked how I'm so organised, what are the different systems that I use, what's my productivity ecosystem and all of that. And so that is what this video is going to be. I'm going to share with you how everything functions. And this is a system that I've been using for many years. I've been able to build a successful content creation business on this, managing a team, managing my time, and also just being able to stay on top of my shit whilst having a baby and working part-time. So if that is a measure of success, I don't know what is. And this video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for creators, entrepreneurs, and freelancers to stand out and succeed online with beautiful websites. More about them later, but let's crack on. So the different parts of this machine that we are going to tackle are to-do list, calendar, notes, file management, communication, and project management. If you've got all of these things sorted, then you're going to be fine. And then, of course, massive disclaimer that this is what works for me, but I know you guys are nosy, so I'm just going to share it all. So first up is the to-do list. Everyone needs some form of to-do list. Just where are you keeping the information of the tasks and the things that you need to get done in work and in life? For me, I have been a dedicated, avid user of the app Todoist for I don't even know how many years now, but it has served me well and continues to serve me well and basically runs my entire task list. So let's open this shit up. Okay, so this is what my Todoist looks like when I open it up. It just takes me straight to my today tasks. This is what I've got on today. I use the free version of Todoist, which allows me 5 projects. I've got general, content, consulting, Patreon, and personal. And I use this for everything. The work is obviously separated into different categories, and then just personal life tasks, they just all get lumped into one, really, and that's fine. If we go to the upcoming view, you can see today's, and then tomorrow you can just keep scrolling through the days. But as you can see, each task has a different color, and this is how you set the priority. So red is top priority, and then orange is mid, and then blue, if we can find some blue there, need to get a new candle, that is 3 priority. I don't really tend to use the priority things in the way that you're supposed to. I actually find the projects kind of hard to see. My brain doesn't automatically look to see what project it is in to be able to categorize what that thing is in my head. So actually I basically put all of my personal tasks as priority 3 because then they show up as blue, and then that's just a really clear distinction for me. And then basically the difference between the red and the orange for me is this absolutely has to get done today, and then the orange is could be bumped, doesn't have to be done today. And keeping the meanings of those things as simple as possible really helps. So the brilliant thing for me about having an app like this is that tasks are attached to dates. So I used to just have analog written in a notebook to-do lists, and they would just be long. Then I was this is not working for me, and I had to start putting my to-do list in a calendar with dates, and this app just does that all for me. You can go one step further, which I do. The Todoist app actually connects to Google Calendar, so you can not only set a date but also set a time and use it in junction with calendar blocking and time blocking if that is something that you do. Because I know not all of you do, and it's not for everyone. You still get that satisfaction when you complete a task and you tick it off, just love it. And you can see your completed tasks if that is something that you want as well, rather than it just disappearing completely. The other really handy thing about this is that it is so easy to add a new task, and it uses whatever it's called, where you just use your talky typey thing and you don't have to press any buttons. So I'll be film video next Thursday, and then it goes in content, and then you would do on the phone, obviously I would just hit priority here, but if I was typing it on my computer, then I would be exclamation point, exclamation point 1, and that would be priority 1. So it's really handy, like when you're doing it on your computer on a keyboard, that you don't have to do any clicking. And then you've got a description if you need more info for everything, and you can also really easily repeat tasks. So if I am going to take pins out every Sunday, then that is just going to repeat every damn Sunday. So that is how I manage my entire to-do list. But like I said, it actually syncs with my calendar. So let's talk about calendars, and we're gonna go on the computer for this one. I've made a bunch of videos about how I calendar block in the past, if you want to find out more about that. I use Google Calendar, but in the past I've used Apple, and then also Notion, which we'll get onto, have also just released a calendar app, which I'm currently trying out and seeing how that works for me, but that basically syncs with Google Calendar anyway, so it's all very much still integrated. But I have different calendars for different purposes. So I've got like my main work calendar, which is the yellow one, which is shared with my manager and my assistant. And this is where I put in things where I need to be somewhere, or I also put in filming blocks in this calendar as well. So that is for like events, meetings, things like that. Then my red calendar is my get stuff done calendar. And this is the one that is synced with Todoist. And actually, I don't often add things that have a time to them straight into Todoist. I do it on the calendar because then I can look forward and I can see I need to film this video. When do I have time? Okay, it's gonna here. This is my next free week to do some filming. And then my blue is personal stuff, and I have a repeated lunch thing in every week that may get shortened or edited or moved depending on the day. And then purple is my shared calendar with Dan, that is our Rowan calendar, because this helps us keep track of when the childminders might be closed for certain holidays, also when we might be away, so I have to notify the childminder that Rowan's not going to be in, also any like play dates or activities or appointments and things, that all goes in the Rowan calendar. This calendar runs my life. If I didn't have access to this, I honestly would be so lost. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. But one of the things that I love so much about having a digital calendar is just being able to easily edit and move things around. And with the time blocking thing that I do, I love being able to actually visually see how much time I have. And I'm getting better, still not perfect at it, but I'm getting better at knowing how long tasks are going to take me. So that helps as well. So before we move on to talk about the other parts of my productivity ecosystem, I want to take a minute to thank this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Whether you're just starting out in the freelance world or you're a small business owner, Squarespace makes it super easy to create your own beautiful website, engage your audience, and sell anything from physical to digital products to courses and even your time, all in one place and all on your terms. I've been using Squarespace for my websites for years, and they have really beautiful and flexible website templates. You just pick the right one for you and you can customize it with your own branding and content, and voila, an amazing, beautiful website has appeared. And you can add different features to meet whatever your specific needs are. You can pretty much make any template do whatever you want. Their Fluid Engine website design system is really intuitive and powerful. It's all drag and drop technology, so it is so easy to use, especially for somebody like me who has zero website design and coding experience. It really allows anyone to get creative and make a really professional looking website. If you run a business where people have to book your time, you can sync this with your calendar through Squarespace's appointments feature. This can save you so much time with back and forth on emails. You just send someone the link to your Squarespace website and they book themselves in, and even if it's a chargeable service, then they pay their fee, and all paid and all booked in and all taken care of. And then it's on your calendar. And this works for online and in-person events, whether it's one-on-one, group classes, or workshops. So if you want to make your own website for whatever professional or creative endeavor you're pursuing, then head to squarespace.com to start your free trial. And then when you are ready to launch, you can go to squarespace.com/morehannah to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, let's talk about notes. because we all need to keep notes. We all have ideas brewing. We all need to like make note of that thing and like, what did that person say? And like, what idea was that? Notes, they're important and most of the time just really chaotic in our brains. And we need to get them down somewhere so we can reference it and use it in the future, take the information that we need from those notes. So for me, pretty much all of the notes that I take now are digital. I filled up a lot of notebooks in my time. And honestly, I do miss it, but it was a nightmare trying to retrieve any information that I needed, or even just having any kind of system to the notes at all. It was chaotic. So I was actually using Thomas Frank's notebook template in Notion for a while, but actually it was too complex for my needs. I didn't need all of the different frills and features that it had. It was powerful, fair play to him, but I didn't need it all. So actually more recently, I have started using just a free notebook template that Notion provides. Notion has so many amazing templates. Honestly, that is one of the best places to start. Like, don't bother building anything from scratch. Just take a bare bones, simple template and iterate and build from there and use that as a place to kind of learn. There's a bit of Notion advice for you. So let me show you my current notes situation. So this is what it looks like, just a dumping ground. I don't really use this view, but this is just like where all of the notes live. I have basically just two notebooks, two main categories, work and home. But then there are different tags to like separate things further. So in my home notes, we've got holiday ideas, family days out ideas, things for Rowan, eco-friendly swaps, my resolutions, gift ideas, some 2024 personal shit, and it's my birthday soon. It will have been my birthday by the time you're seeing this, and obviously I need a note for that to make my plans. There's not a lot there, but it's where everything stays. Like whenever I'm like, that would be good to get Rowan for his birthday, like we dump it in here. And I also just very much enjoy using different emojis for my notes. So if I go to work notes, it's all the same, but I've also created another little tab for consulting specific stuff because that's like a new thing that I'm doing and I just want to have all of my notes about that in one place. So that's here. I don't have any on the go at the moment, but in my notes, that's also a place where I will write out like ideas and notes and scripts for any like sponsored Instagram content. And it's where I keep like the codes and the links so that when I'm like uploading things, I have like easy access to them. I'm like, copy and paste that. That's the link. Great. And then starred, this is kind of like across the board work and home stuff of just things that I'm always needing to reference or is just useful to have up front, like birthday stuff, that's gonna go soon. So like studio move, for instance. Oh, studio move needs an emoji. Let's add an icon, not a tennis ball. There we go, studio move. So this is just the dumping ground of like things that I need. The other thing is that with this status, so starred is obviously like, this is important. This is like currently need access. Open is just generally like, this is always open. So this is kind of things like things for Rowan and gifts. They're just notes I'm always using. And then archive is just like when I'm done with something. So then it disappears. I don't have to see it anymore. It's not creating more digital clutter, but it's not deleted. Like your girl loves to archive things. Is it a digital hoarding problem? Nah, I don't see it that way. But I love a good archive folder, and this will become apparent a bit later as well. So there's only really one other place that I use notes that isn't part of this notebook, which is our meeting notes in Witton HQ. But this is the Witton HQ dashboard. I don't actually know if I've ever shown you this, but right here we've got meeting notes, and so this is where they live. And you just go new meeting, and you come in here and you write this shit down, done. And so that's really handy for us to like go back and reference things that you need to remember from meetings. So the notes thing is definitely the newest because I just recently like stripped back the old version that I was doing and started this just kind of a bit more simple for me. But it's been really handy so far, and it just helps get stuff out of the brain and onto paper, digital paper. So next up is file management. We all need places to store our files. Now, here I'm speaking specifically about digital files. I basically have no physical files that I need to store anywhere, thank God. Everything is digital now. And the apps that I use for file management are Google Drive and Notion. So the way that I separate how those two function is that if it is any big media, so video files like this, audio files, photos, pictures, graphics, like whatever it is, that goes in Google. If it is anything that needs to be shared outside of me and Moog, my assistant, then that also goes in Google Drive, because we can just share files and share documents and whatever with like my editor or with brands or whoever needs to see stuff and collaborate on things or whatever. Then for literally everything else, Notion. So Notion is where I write my newsletter, it's where I write my Patreon reading lists, basically anything that is only text and either only I or only me and Moog need to see it, Notion. I just personally find that it takes up less stress and clutter in my brain if those kinds of things are in Notion rather than in like Google Docs or something. I like my Google Drive to be as just, these are the things that I need. These are the things that we are actively using as possible. So let's go into the Google Drive. Why not? Here we go. Told you I loved an archive folder. We've got work, personal, and then the archive. So personal, honestly, that's a bit more chaotic. So we don't really need to bother with the personal folder. That has very much less of a system. But work, this is what it looks like. Another archive folder. See, this is the archive 2024 folder. If you go into the main archive folder, you can see that it's just lots of folders. But in here, we've got kind of like the main buckets of my work life. So one of the main ones that is like regularly used and multiple people use it and needs to be organized is videos. So this is what this looks like. This one, Hannah Witton Editor, is the one that is shared with my editor. And here we've got like assets of all of the things that my editor could need to include in videos. I honestly can't actually remember what's in documents. That might be like our contract and things like that, and like brand Bibles and like branding, like process guides and things like that. But videos, this is the main bit. It is simple. Exports, footage. This actually used to be more complicated when I had 2 YouTube channels, but that's what this looks like. And I've been numbering them as well. That just helps, like, just to see everything rather than being like, wait, where are we? Which one? So the yearly archive folder is really just where sponsored Instagram, like brand deal stuff goes after it's all done. So like brand work, for instance, like that's all done. We can shove that in the archive. Don't need that anymore. Do not need it. Photo shoots is one that I always keep, like photo shoots from every year. You never know when you're going to need to access like professional pics, when you're an influencer, when you're a content creator. This is the whole folder that is shared with Moog, and this has so much stuff in it. To be honest, a lot of this stuff we could probably archive now, like the podcast and the Hormone Diaries and the worksheets that never happened. I'll probably do that in a bit. And then presentations is here just because you never know. Someone might be like, hey Hannah, can you do us a talk about how to build a sustainable revenue stream and community on Patreon? I'd be like, yeah, I got you. I've done that before. And then I'll be like, tweak, update slightly, done. My content creation and scheduling master plan. Oh my God, that's old though. That is old. That would be interesting to see. This is where I keep a lot of that stuff. How to stay organized without burning out. That presentation is in here. So, you know, if someone ever wants me to host a talk or a workshop, I'm ready on those things. And then I could maybe make some more on different topics. Yeah, it's all pretty self-explanatory. In the general folder, that is more just kind of like the business money side, like the behind the scenes of running a business and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, that is my Google Drive. I get stressed and anxious if there is ever a document in this view that is not in a folder. If there was just like a lone document here, I'd be like, absolutely not. You must be organized somewhere in a folder. This is how I organize all my Patreon stuff. Again, there's even a whole like just specific Patreon archive folder. Perks and content. So we've got the book club, Discord stuff, Hand Down podcast, Secret Santa, and then all like previous special offers, all of the bits and bobs we need for that. Fun times. Okay, next up is communication, because even if you are a freelancer and self-employed, you have to talk to other people. And actually, it's more likely if you are freelance and self-employed that you are going to be talking to other people through digital means, because you're not sat next to somebody in an office, so you can't like ask them a question in person. So for me, for communication, I use Gmail as my email account and Discord as my more immediate like back and forth. I basically use Discord as Slack, but I can't be bothered with Slack, and I already use Discord for my Patreon community Discord. So the less apps, the better, because I'm already there. It makes sense just to have things in that place. So I am an inbox zero gal. I have to have inbox zero at the end of the day and at the end of the week. But this does not mean that I reply to or action every single email that I get that day or that week. I am a heavy user of the snooze and the star and archive features in Gmail, and this helps me manage my inbox. So if there are any emails that have come in, but I'm like, oh, I don't actually need that for another week or for another few days, rather than letting it sit in my inbox, or even if it's just like, I know I can't get to this today, so this needs to wait, I snooze it, and then it pops up in my inbox when I have asked it to. Because if it was just sitting there in my inbox, I'll see it and I'll be like, no, and it'll be stressing me out. But if it's not there, I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to think about it. And then past me has been like, okay, this is the time when you're gonna deal with that again. Maybe I'll snooze it again, you never know. But I love the snooze feature. Love, love, love. And then the other thing that I regularly do is like star things. So this is like, okay, I just need this to reference, but I might not know exactly when. I just need it to reference generally. So I'll archive it, but it'll be starred. And so then I can go into my starred section and I can see, okay, yeah, there's those things that I need. So when the time comes, those emails are easy to find. And then of course, I've got all of my labels of my different categories of like the different work buckets that things go in. And I personally just find this really easy to then like visually see, okay, what are these emails about? And then also when like, if I need to search for an email, it's so much easier to search for it in that category rather than like searching my entire Gmail. I used to live the email tab always open life. And if you are still living that life, I feel for you. I feel for you. But now I'll only check it a couple of times a day, and I'll do sessions where I tackle email. So it's not something that I'm constantly aware of. Like I would just have that tab open, and then anytime I would see a new email come in, I would like stop what I was doing, even if I was like mid-flow, like editing a video or writing a script, and I would then check my email. It doesn't make sense. But now actually, I don't get many emails. A lot of them filter through my manager, my publicist, and my assistant, which is really handy. And so whilst I don't get that many emails, the ones I do get require quite a bit of my attention and time, and usually have like quite a lengthy, time-consuming thing that I have to do in order to like reply to that email. So because of that, it's good for me to then have like specific times when I'm going to be doing email, and to be able to like snooze things away, to then come back to me at a time when I can actually dedicate time to do that work. And then with Discord, I use Discord with my assistant Moog and my video editor Beth. And this is just because it's so much easier and less notification heavy to do like back and forths of like quick chit chat back and forth, rather than on things like email or text. And in our work Discord, we've got different channels for the different things that we do. So like YouTube or the newsletter or Patreon and things like that. So it's much easier to be able to keep track of different conversations rather than it all being in like one big thread. And you know, you can, it just means you can have like multiple conversations at once about different things, and it's great. Okay, and finally, let's talk about project management. And I use Notion for this because of their beautiful, sexy databases. So I use Notion databases for tracking different kinds of content. So we've got a whole one for YouTube. There was a whole one for the Doing It podcast. We've got a database for the newsletter, albeit a very simple one because that's just once a month. And I recently created a new one, which is a social media content calendar, as I've been really getting into like posting a lot more on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And I've been building that one from scratch, and that has been a really fun project in itself and has been really helpful in planning social media content and then also acting as a kind of like accountability for me to post, because I want to post and I don't want to forget to post. Also, in terms of the social media calendar and the YouTube calendar, just being able to track my ideas for things in whatever shape or form that they are in, and then taking them through all the way to like making it and then publishing it. And then the handy thing about having the social media content calendar as well is being able to add in any sponsored posts that might be coming out and then being able to plan around them. And then I also have a new one for my new work doing consulting, and this is very much like a work in progress. Obviously, as this work develops, I'll be able to change and iterate the information that I need, but it'll be like the status of different clients, like are we just chatting, are they like booked in, what's the status of invoices, all of my notes on that person and everything that I need. So those are my two new ones that are works in progress. But let me show you YouTube. So this is what my Notion video planner for my YouTube channel looks like. So this is just the list of all videos in progress. You can see the status of them. You can see if there's a sponsor, publish date, format and theme on new ones that I've added, because it helps me figure out like what there's been maybe too much of or what we need to have more of on the channel, just to kind of like have a healthy balance of different formats and themes. And then filming dates and edit deadlines. So I actually mainly use the publish dates view of Notion. If we go back, you can see this is where I'm currently at in terms of filming. And it's great because I can visualize things like having the week off for my birthday. And it's not solely YouTube, because I have this Poundland sex toys video. This is something that was a video that got shelved and obviously is never gonna be published because I'm not doing sex ed anymore, but there is some footage and I'm gonna edit it for patrons. And so I just thought I would add it here, part of the schedule to hold me accountable. To do that, the edit deadlines calendar, this is for Beth. It looks so much more manageable now, but let me just show you what it looked like in December when we had Vlognica and all of the end of year stuff. This is what Beth was dealing with. Like, look at that. These are all different videos and the deadlines for them. And then Christmas break, but honestly, well done. But yeah, and then this is all part of the same database. So then there's the ideas section, and this is new. This is something that I have made a view for this year since just doing this YouTube channel, and I've split it into the different themes. So there's the fashion and style theme. If you see anything that you like the look of, let me know. Home and parenting stuff, lifestyle, media and culture, general personal life, and work and career stuff. And for me, idea just means like that's everything, like everything that comes to my mind of like, oh, I can make a video about that, just dumped in here, status, idea. Spark means that it's just bringing a little bit of joy and like, ooh. So those ones are like a bit more likely to be made next. And then all I have to do is change the status of it to maybe like in development and add a published date to it, and it will appear on the calendar and it will appear in the videos in progress section. That is where we're at. Obviously, this one, basically we can change to edit V1. So when I'm planning YouTube content, I do it all in Notion, and then what I then do is I cross-reference it to my Google Calendar to figure out filming dates. And so then that's how I figure out like what days I'm filming. So there is a little bit of like cross-referencing like two different places a lot of the time, especially with then like setting the edit deadlines and then knowing that I need to add a task in for like the following day to review that edit. So that's why I'm kind of interested to see how the Notion calendar works, because then I'm not having to like go between two different places and I could potentially do all of that work in one place. But I will maybe keep you updated. Maybe in the Patreon Discord server, I'll keep you updated on how that goes. But that is everything. That is literally how I run all of this stuff. And it's only 5 apps: Todoist, Gmail, Google Drive, Notion, and Discord. I mean, obviously it's not only those apps. Obviously I use other apps for like different parts of work, but those are the apps in terms of like structuring and organizing the work. And it's not always perfect, but it does work for me, and that is basically the point. The best kind of productivity system that you can have is the one that you're going to use. I hope that you liked this video. Maybe it satisfied some curiosity, maybe it was useful to you. I'm always curious about how other people organize all these different elements of things in their life and in their work. So if you are happy to share, please do leave it in the comments. I always find that I might get like little tips or bits of inspiration for like minor tweaks and changes or things that I could do differently from hearing how other people do things, of like, oh yeah, I never thought of that. And then hopefully it just means that we can all have a nice, easy, stress-free time running our lives, doing life, doing the things, and being happy. What a way to end this. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and I hope that you're all doing well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.